All right, Chael, can you hear me?
Yes! Yeah!
Look at Miss Brittany. And Miss Brittany's behind him dancing. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That's Chael Sonnen. Hey, Chael, where are you at? It is beautiful. That is a beautiful room.
Thank you for saying that. I'm just in New York City. I'm actually coming to Bristol, but I'm about an hour early to come out to campus there, so I set this up. What tremendous success you and I have. I've got a new microphone up on a laptop. I got the lighting right. Everything's going our way, partner.
It looks really, really good. The moment I saw you on screen, I was like, wow, where is he? This guy stays in the penthouse suite of any hotel that he's at. Chael, I'm in Abu Dhabi for UFC 308. The other day, you and I were talking, and I said, I believe this is the best fight we have on the calendar today. We didn't get to talk about it much, but I wanted to ask you, do you agree? Do you think that Jones and Stipe is better? Do you think Muhammad versus Shavkat is better? Do you believe that this fight, pound for pound, for your money, is the best fight we have on the calendar?
Not only do I agree, Daniel, it is getting better. I mean, for it to get better, it's between those boys. They got to make it interesting for us or not, right? We sit here, we're looking to be entertained. Ilia Topuria has done his job in tremendous ways, Daniel. I mean, you might want to play the game of can I be the best in the division, which is going to take, there's some politics, there's some push and pull behind the scenes just to get given the opportunity. But there's a whole other game. And of the 767 guys under contract, the guys that can stand back and understand the game is being played for biggest draw in the sport. Biggest star that Dana White has. Sean O'Malley plays that game. Israel Adesanya played that game as well as anybody. And I think that Ilia Topuria is looking to really sink himself in here. I don't think a perfect unblemished record and a world championship is all this guy came for. I don't know him very well, but he has got everybody interested in this fight. He says he's going to dare Max. He dared Max to dare him. He double psychology Max, dared Max to dare him to draw a stand at the line. He said, I promise you I will step to it and I will knock your head off.
You know what was funny today at the press conference? Max Holloway told him, you don't deserve that moment. And that's something Max has said a few times this week. Ilia Topuria doesn't deserve having a moment like that with him where he stands in the octagon and he points. And he said, Ilia keeps trying to steal his swag. He thinks that Ilia is a copycat. All that, Chael, all this back and forth only adds to what we have in this fight. Not only do we have two of the best competitors in the world, we got two of the best competitors and they have beef. And it feels like it's getting more and more real when you're around these guys. Yesterday, I sat down with Ilia Topuria and he comes in, Chael, he's in a cream-colored suit. I mean, he's in a cream. Remember Nature Boy Ric Flair used to wear like a white suit? Ilia Topuria is in a cream-colored suit. Dude's hair, hey, Chael, he doesn't even button his shirt and he's got like a big old Topuria tattoo right in the middle. It doesn't work for you or me, but it works for a Spanish dude. It works for a Georgian that lives in Spain who has perfect hair, who can knock people out back and forth. The whole thing works with Ilia Topuria. But ultimately, you need the right guys. Max Holloway is the right guy. Look, I thought this dude was making a mistake, Chael, when he would say, I'm not fighting Alex, I'm not fighting Max if I become the champion. I thought that was the wrong approach because you need those guys to elevate you into the next level as the champion. He already beat Volk. Now he's fighting Max. If he wins, this dude's going to be a superstar at a level they haven't seen for a real long time.
Yeah, no, I could only imagine where he would go from here. I mean, not for nothing, but like a rematch with Max. If all hell breaks loose in a title fight main event, the matchmakers historically have to be able to sit down on Tuesday morning and go, hey, we got to do that one again. But with the assertion of Lopez, just by example, I don't know if you even have that option.
He's here. He's here.
Lopez is here. He's going to want his face off. He's going to want his moment. But these two, I'm not sure you don't want to preserve the idea of doing it again. Daniel, I cannot believe that Max is the underdog, and I'm not giving you a prediction here.
I'm serious.
He's the underdog. The narrative attached to Max being an underdog is that his better times were behind him. Excuse me, he's a champion right now. He is not only the
32.
He is the reigning BMF champion. He's got a belt of his own. What my best days were behind me. Best days are right now.
Chael, he's 32 years old. He's 32 years old. How are your best days behind you? Chill. I don't think you and I even started this thing till we were in our 30s. I mean, you know what can happen as you get later in the fight game. Max Holloway is not past his prime. Max Holloway is so motivated to go out here and beat Ilia Topuria. I don't know that I've ever seen him as locked in a really long time. You know what Topuria told me yesterday when we sat down? He goes, I know you're great friends with Max Holloway. I go, hell, I'm a friend to you after what I saw you do to Alexander Volkanovski in Anaheim. I go, sure, Max is my boy. Love the guy. I said, but dude, you sat up in that room and you told me you were going to beat Volk and you're going to knock him out. I go, the whole time I'm looking at you like, laughing under my breath, Chill. I'm laughing at him. This dude, it's hard. It's harder. When you fight these, it's harder than you think. Then he does it. I was like, yo, he is the man. And I like the guy in terms of his skill set. I like him in terms of his approach. I like him in terms of everything. But Max Holloway and him together, it makes for the perfect situation because, look, his name is El Matador, but he's going to have to be the pursuer in this fight. He will not be Olaying Max Holloway because Max is not going to press him in a way that's going to allow for him to counter. He's going to have to chase down Max Holloway because Max is going to maintain range and kind of pop at him, Chill. It's in the bag work. Ilia's hitting the bag with power. Max is hitting the bag with a little bit of speed and quickness. I think that right there speaks to them as fighters, and I think that's the way the fight's going to look to us on Saturday night. The question is, who can implement their game plan better?
And can I say just a little bit more that's at stake? It's just a little bit. I got to bring you into it. But in 2004, you finally had your wrestling match with Melvin Douglas, and that hurt.
Yep.
Kevin Jackson, who loves you, turned to Kenny Monday, and it hurt. It hurt other people. And Jackson said, and I quote, an era is over. And Daniel, make no mistake. If what happened to Volk happens to Max, this whole idea that Volk's next and he's coming in for the final shot, no, he is not. That era is over. They are going, if this young man, Topuria, puts these guys both to sleep and he's only one punch away from doing it, that era is over. Absolutely, Lopez will come in. But behind Lopez, it ain't going to be one of those old dogs either. I mean, there is so much on the line in this fight. Can you cling to it? Is history going to repeat itself? Is it time to turn the page? All of these cliches are very real when this bell rings.
Yeah, you know, that's the funniest thing about mixed martial arts. We always think about this guy's great, what's going to happen when this guy's done, but it always just kind of corrects itself, right? You always thought that when Jose Aldo was the featherweight champion, if he ever lost, that division would suffer. Nope, sure didn't. Max Holloway took that belt and he ran with it as the man. If Max ain't the champion, who? Volkanovski became a dude that you can count on day in and day out. He would headline so many pay-per-views. Now you got a new kid that it feels like if he can get through those two guys, he can take the division into the future. This Ilia Topuria, though, Chael, he has boxing, wrestling, grappling. He submitted Bryce Mitchell. He knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. When he came to the UFC, in Max's own words, they brought him in as a wrestler, grappler. Look at what he's doing to the top strikers in the world today. And you know what's the most interesting thing about it? Max Holloway's been here since 2012. He started this as a 20-year-old kid fighting in the octagon. Chill, when I tell you, Ilia Topuria made his UFC debut in 2020. 2020. It's only been 4 years. He's already the best in the world, fighting against one of the greatest featherweights of all time for the second fight in a row. I asked him yesterday. I said, was there ever a moment I'm fighting Volk, oh my God, because when you got here, those guys were the best? He goes, yes, and I feel the same way about Max Holloway. He goes, when that bell rings, I don't care who they are or who they were. My job is to take their head off. And he said, I intend to do that to Max, just like I did to Alexander Volkanovski. Hey, chill, this dude's intense, man. He's intense.
I don't care who they are, and I don't care who they were. That might sound simple. I've never heard it quite like that. Such a big deal, Daniel, because if you get these guys that you looked up to, these guys that you admired, you're telling me that their time in the octagon is separated by 8 years. There was no chance that somewhere along the journey, Topuria didn't look up to Holloway. To be able to compartmentalize that, I mean, that's a big deal. And again, I'll go back to your match, though, with Melvin Douglas, but that same thing had to be true. That's a powerful line. I don't care who they were or who they weren't. Easy to say. If he means it, if he can really look at it that way, man, all the better to his story. You just gave me a little bit more excitement for this fight.
Hey, for the record, though, that Melvin Douglas match, I was so scared. It was crazy how much changed in 2 years. Chill. The year when I got out of college, I went to the OTC in '01, wrestled him, and he beat me like a rented mule. I mean, he just beat me. He beat the crap out of me. So when I stepped on that mat, I was so scared, but he just wasn't the same guy. I felt it immediately. Oh, we're different today? I think Topuria feels like he's just different today. You know, Max being the underdog was very surprising to me too. So he's 32 years old. You made a statement that people may think his best days are behind him. But Chael, he's 32 years old. The only reason you feel like that is because he's been around so long. This guy is 32. He's got 30 UFC fights. This fight this weekend makes 30 UFC appearances for Max Holloway. With all the damage that he's taken, would you think that a win this weekend would put him back in line to fight Volk again? Can he go on another run like he had prior?
Interesting. Interesting what he's going to do here. Now, before I give you a guess, or without giving you a guess, let me just summarize his words. Because, and very surprisingly, when Max never wanted a piece of Volk, I mean, he wasn't afraid of him, but it wasn't an important element to get it. He just wanted the 45-pound title. As a matter of fact, when it became Topuria, it was never personal. Max didn't even call him out by name. He stuck to the script. He said, I just want the 45-pound belt. When Max became the BMF champion, which was a ticket that you could have cashed in that night to take on Islam. In fact, they were even looking at a fight that same night for the next opponent for Islam. Didn't get it. They had to call a young man named Dustin Poirier to get it done. Yep. Truly, Max could have cashed that in and got against Islam. It's just not what he wanted. 55 wasn't what he wanted. He wanted his belt, what he views as his division, the one that he left behind. It's all about 145 for Max. There's nothing personal, or at least there wasn't. It's starting to feel a little bit personal now. And when you talk about what kind of run could he go on, listen, Max wakes up tomorrow as champion. And I'm talking about Sunday morning. He wakes up as champion. He's got the BMF title. If he goes out and defends that successfully against a 55-pounder, he's right back in conversations in that weight class. So no, the idea that Max's best days are behind him, it's simply not true. And the idea that the challenger in Max, the underdog, has the pressure on his shoulders, I don't see it that way. And pressure really matters. We talk about it, but Daniel, we don't always tell our audience why. Pressure creates a fatigue. If one guy is approaching and he's got a little more stress or a little more pressure on his shoulders, he gets tired a little bit faster. And that is the last thing you want to do in combat.
No, you don't want to get tired. It's the worst thing ever. When you start to get fatigued in the 4th and 5th round and the guy looks like he's doing better than you, it's terrible. You're sitting on that stool. I would try to look past my corner to see if they were doing okay. Because if I see a dude huffing and puffing, I'm like, yes. Bro, when I was fighting Rumble, I was on top of him in the 2nd round, and I was elbowing him. And when I got off of him, I looked back, and he was still laying on the ground. I was like, oh, bingo, it's over. I got it, right? But then when I watched Jones, and we went to the 4th round, I looked over. He looked tired, but I was like, shoot, we might be equally tired. We're both tired. I know how hard I've worked in that first 15 minutes. So we might be in a little trouble here, ladies and gentlemen. It was tough. Getting tired in a fight is not, it's like the worst thing imaginable. And Max Holloway believes that Ilia will. He believes that Ilia will fatigue in this fight. He said that Ilia Topuria, his cardio holds up, Chael, because he puts so much damage on his opponents. He said that this weekend he won't be able to put that damage, and because he will be taking damage, he believes that Ilia is going to be the one to fatigue, and Ilia is going to be the one struggling as the fight goes longer. But I got one question for you before we move a little bit into more Ilia Topuria. Dude, how much money does Ilia Topuria have? I mean, he built a $2 million gym, Chael, in his house. He just won the belt. Where does this dude's money come? I told him, I said, man, I knew you looked rich the moment I saw you. I just didn't know you were actually rich. And now after seeing a countdown, this dude's rich.
You might remember George St. Pierre, but George St. Pierre made like $5 million and had taken the year off. He never got a fight, but he was the one guy in our industry that had all the big sponsorships. He was sitting on them. Yep. They were like monthly checks as long as he had the belt. So when he was hurt, there was no jeopardy of losing the belt. There was no jeopardy of losing it all. I think Topuria might have broken into that market. I think he's got like a nice. I think he's got a nice suit sponsor. I think he does something with jewelry. Like I'll see him posing, and they don't ever advertise anything. And that's when I have to realize, oh,
Yo, how's he post-show?
Watch that showing. That is the one picking the tab. But yeah, man, I've noticed that about Topuria too. And it's not just him. Man, moms and the brothers and sisters and aunts and the old lady that all come out to support. They all look beautiful. They are all dressed from head to toe in something nice.
Chill, Ilia Topuria gave me a hug yesterday. He was my second interview. By the time I was done with all my interviews, I still smelled like Ilia Topuria. Hey, this man has some cologne on, Chill. This man has some cologne on. I was like, yo, can I get more of that? Chill, this dude is confident, right? Everything around him kind of exudes confidence. But is it too much? Like, is the confidence, is the trash talk, is it going too far? Is this a check that he might not be able to cash? Because it seems as though he is just riling up Max Holloway.
Well, and he's not stopping. It's so interesting, Daniel. Like when a guy is trying to get a bout agreement signed, when a guy is picking a fight, he will go at it in a certain way. Once the bout agreement is signed and he has the fight, you do have some gamers that will go out and promote, and most of them don't. Most of them don't look at it as a media opportunity or a PR opportunity. They look at it as something I don't have to do because I'm the champion, and they got to bring me along, like in this weird attitude. But it does follow, guys. I mean, it's not happening with Topuria. He's the one riling things up. He's the one trying to bother Max. I mean, I'm looking at this, and I want Topuria to be a heel. He deserves to be. He deserves to be a heel from back when he was doing the hand sanitizer with Patty the Batty. But it turned out he was just good enough, and then he was just charming enough, you know, and he was just handsome enough. It's very hard to bring him into the heel role. I think if we are doing like character development, I see him along the lines more of like, say, The Rock, where it's a cool heel and there's nothing more monetizable than that. And where Topuria goes from here with a victory is one thing that a lot of us haven't discussed. And I know there's a rumor that he's going to draw right back into Volk. I just don't believe it. I think Brian Lopez is live and well. I think he's going to be looked at as next for whoever comes out of this fight unscathed.
It feels like Volk is next. It honestly feels like a disservice that we haven't spoken about him more as the next guy. Because when you defend the belt as much as Alexander Volkanovski defended that belt, he should be fighting for the championship. He honestly should have gotten an immediate rematch. But because he needed time off, it's okay. I'm okay with Volkanovski getting a little bit of time to recover, getting a little bit of time to get his mind back right, and then going and fighting for the belt. I love Lopez. I think Diego's amazing. I think Diego's here as a backup fighter, and just in case anything happens, he would be the guy to step in. But the reality is, he just isn't quite next. He needs one more because of Alexander Volkanovski. I've seen backup fighters not get the title fight. So I feel like Volk will be the next guy. I don't know when it'll happen. I know that Volk will be the next guy for sure if Max Holloway wins the championship, because now for the first time, Joe, Max is starting to say, I got to get that one back. Even I've lost to him 3 times, I got to get it back. They're invoking him back into the conversation. I think the best chance for Lopez to be next is if Topuria retains and it kind of says, I don't want to fight Volkanovski again. You know, a lot has been made about the belt, Topuria and Max Holloway's face-off. Joe, you once had a belt when you fought Anderson Silva. You seemed to want to get under his skin. Do you agree with Topuria wearing the BMF belt? Did you like it? Did you like the callback to what you did back in the day?
I like the idea of it. I mean, if it's going to bother somebody, you got to understand what did it though, Daniel. I was not only claiming that it was my belt, I was claiming that I won a match, which I had. A lot of people showed up. They weren't fans back then, so they really thought that I had won the match. Now, that's really a stolen valor, which is really going to get under the champion's skin. Not to mention, people weren't bringing belts to press conference back then. So even though he was the champion, the fact that I had a belt, right, he wasn't even going to bring it. There was just a little bit more on it. I was using it in different ways and saying I took it from him. It bothered him being Anderson Silva at the time. I don't think this is going to bother Max. Max's belt isn't even up. So I think perhaps it was a little bit of a miss by Topuria in terms of, you know, what he was going for versus what he got. I did like the look. I did like the idea of claiming he's the BMF. And frankly, I do agree with Ilia that perhaps that belt should be at stake. But the reality, partner, it is not.
Yeah, you know, Ilia believes the belt should be up for grabs. And he did say that I'm not fighting Max Holloway unless the BMF title is up for grabs. It's not. And Max actually has taken a win from that. He said he's the one saying that I'm not fighting Max. I want to fight Max in the Sphere. He said no, he's not getting the title fight unless the BMF is on the line. Max goes, the BMF is not on the line, and he's still fighting me. So he's taking that kind of as a victory over Ilia Topuria. Press conference was fun. Those guys went back and forth. You can see that now it's time for these dudes. They're cutting weight. They're a little run down. They're agitated. They're annoyed with all the media. They're annoyed with all the time having to be spent around each other. These guys just want to fight. And for my money, like I said early in the week, the best fight we have on the schedule. Fight card also. Khamzat Chimaev returns. He takes on Robert Whittaker. Khamzat Chimaev is wearing glasses now. I called him Professor Khamzat yesterday. Did you see him with those glasses? I go, what's up, Doc? I go, what's wrong with your glasses? He goes, I got a little problem in my right eye, DC. I go, okay, well, I probably shouldn't have asked you. But he looks good. He looks good physically. He looks healthy. He went back to his old coach. He's training in the mountains of Russia. Do you expect to see a different Khamzat Chimaev? And if you think he's going to be different, is he going to be better than Khamzat Chimaev the last time we saw him?
All right, here, let's dig into this just a little bit. Is he going to come out with some new skills or techniques that we haven't seen him do before? No. Is he going to come out in better shape or maybe a little bit bigger and or stronger? No, I don't think so. And the reason I say that, I think he had to show everything. Whether you're talking about the Kamaru Usman fight where he had to dig as deep as he could, or the first time that we saw him really get pushed against Gilbert Burns, I think you might refine some of those skills, but it is still in this order: takedown first, brawl second. And he's one heck of a brawler. People don't really give him credit. And I admit, even when I watch him shadow box, maybe it isn't the most beautiful and smooth, but boy, he's got a lot of punches coming, and every one of them is designed to hurt you. He has very bad intentions. I think he's going to bring that, but let me guarantee you one thing. You will see something new from Chimaev. You've never seen him breathe 20 minutes in. We've never seen what he can do in a fifth round because he's simply never been scheduled for that. And that is one thing that is really in Whittaker's favor. Robert Whittaker is part of the 5-round club about 10 or even a dozen times over. He can push in those championship minutes. I don't have any reason to doubt that Chimaev can do the same thing, but I am just going to offer for you, it's going to be something new. He's going to have to bring in this new ability, and the best way to become a #1 contender is to have a situation like this where you can prove to the world, when we change the parameters, which is the time limits, I am still the top guy and I can still compete. It's very appropriate that this one is going for 25, but I also think it's relevant, Daniel. Whittaker has been the underdog, and this, I'm just personalizing this, but from anybody that I've walked up and talked to, and I probably 10, 12 fighters, not one of them has picked him. They are all unanimously taking Robert Whittaker, but the lines and the odd makers has always and consistently favored Chimaev. So I'll be interested just in the reaction of the crowd of this night, who they're cheering, who they're booing, who they're behind. I think we got a real close fight on our hands. I don't expect a brand new Khamzat Chimaev, but I'll remind you, he's looked pretty darn impressive and he is completely undefeated. I don't think we need too much of a new Chimaev.
There you go, Chael. There you go. Everybody's always looking for the new and improved. How do you improve 15-0, 16-0 with so many finishes? Just beat one of the most dominant welterweight champions of all time? I don't know why we always look to what's better. How is he going to be better than he was before? I do believe, though, that on Saturday night, he has to be better in this sense. Energy conservation. If he goes at Robert Whittaker in the way that he did Kamaru Usman, he is going to fatigue himself. Because Robert Whittaker understands going 25 minutes. He understands keeping enough gas in the tank. He understands pushing and pulling at the right time to ensure that you can last the entirety of the fight for as long as it goes. Khamzat Chimaev, I just don't know if he has that in the tool bag, that ability to pull back. Because why would he have it? I thought he would be more measured against Kamaru Usman. He wasn't. He wasn't more measured. He went at him just like he did against Li Jingliang and all those other guys that he fought before. He went at Gilbert Burns in the same way. If he does that with Whittaker, a true middleweight, a big guy, a former champion, he doesn't get him out of there quick, he's going to find himself sucking wind down the line. And he admitted, he goes, of course I got tired in the third round. He goes, Usman was tired too. Everybody's making such a big deal about me being tired. He goes, he was tired, and I got the job done. I just don't know, man, if starting that quickly is going to be to his benefit. Sadly, I don't know if he has the ability to not do that because it is so uniquely him. It's what makes him who he is.
Yeah. Robert Whittaker has not stubbed his toe very many times, but the couple of times he did, whether it was the first fight against Adesanya or even the surprising loss to Dricus du Plessis, where he had to find out at the same time as the rest of us had to find out Dricus is better than we give credit for. But both of those fights, when Robert Whittaker unwinds, and it's very hard to be critical, we don't have anybody in the UFC that is as sure of a lock for a future Hall of Fame than him. And we got lots of guys that are going to go in the Hall of Fame. Nobody is more obvious to go in than Robert Whittaker. So being critical of him, you've got to look very closely. But I will share for you, both in Adesanya Part 1 and in the surprise upset to Dricus du Plessis, Whittaker found himself in a fight that was harder than he thought it was going to be. He got surprised. He got overwhelmed, and whoa, that went from his mind, affected his body, and he got the heck out of there. That's not going to happen this time. Robert Whittaker is not afraid of a hard fight, but he has his best performances when he knows ahead of time he's in a hard fight. He knows he's in a hard fight. He knows I'm not going to take this guy down. So all those years and hours and times I spent on takedowns turns out to be a waste of time. I must stop at takedowns, specifically a double. I must find a way to touch this guy and make him pay, which is exactly what he did to Yoel Romero, not once but twice. Robert Whittaker absolutely has this skill set. Chimaev is going to have to make it ugly. Chimaev has have to not get frustrated if he loses rounds, including the very first round, which is very likely to happen. This fight for us as fans, though, partner, if Chimaev starts getting stuffed, these takedowns, he goes out there, he doesn't get them early on, they're not going to get better as the night goes on. If Robert Whittaker can stay on his feet for the first 5 minutes, he can stay on his feet for all 25 minutes. And if you knew that ahead of time, I just gave you a very different proposition on the entertainment value of this contest.
Robert Whittaker said, I saw him fight Kamaru Usman, and I'm better than Kamaru Usman. He said it flat out. He goes, I'm better than Kamaru Usman. And he goes, if he had that much trouble taking him down, if he struggled that much cardio-wise, what's he going to do against me? He said, my intention is to make him work the entirety of this fight. From the first minute to the 25th minute, I'm going to make Khamzat Chimaev work. It's not something he's ever felt before. I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about the whole fight card, Chael. I cannot wait to watch this event this weekend. But right now, Chael P, as we start to wrap this show, and you're in this beautiful New York City penthouse, heading off to ESPN, are you watching Power Slap? Because I'm about to go to Power Slap.
Oh, you're going live? I was going to go live one time. Paige Van Zandt was fighting, and I was there. I was
fighting again.
I had my times wrong, so I missed it. I will be watching on this one.
Hey,
did you say Paige is
guess
on
who she's fighting? Guess who Paige Van Zandt's fighting?
I didn't know. Who?
She's fighting against, what's the guy's name? John Dotson's wife.
Oh.
John Dotson's wife is power slapping Paige Van Zandt today.
Wow. All right.
John Dotson's wife signed up for power slap, didn't tell him until she had a contract signed.
Oh, wow. The cross. John Dodson is crazy, and I mean that in the right way. It's like John Dodson is the toughest nerd to ever fight UFC top. He'd walk out of like a superhero contest.
You remember that? You remember that?
I ran into him in the airport the day after he lost the world title, thus making him the second baddest dude alive. He was wearing a costume, man. I think he thought they were cameras. I don't know what he was wearing. I was like, man, you are one tough dork.
That's so funny.
You know how he lost? You want to know how he lost a state championship, by the way? And it was against Joseph Benavidez. The state
Shut up.
You'd like to know the score of that match?
What?
To disagree with the referee's phone call. He walked off. He never came back.
Shut up, Chael.
I believe they call that disqualification. He turned and walked on one mat in front of the whole arena against Joseph B. John Dodson.
I'm going to run that by Jamil Kelly and see if he believes that story. Because you know Jamil be poking holes in all your stories.
You know what? Joseph B. told me. Said I couldn't believe he left. It was one of the hardest matches I had ever had, but I'm officially champion. Yeah, that's a true story. Run that by.
Unbelievable.
I can tell you everything about Jamil Kelly.
Yeah, he's just always hating on you, man. Guys, that's another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That's Chael Sonnen. Get us wherever you get your podcast. ESPN Plus MMA YouTube, ESPN2, and I mean just everywhere. We are all over ESPN. They put us to work. Chael, enjoy New York City. Hey, enjoy. I can't say this without laughing, but enjoy Bristol. That's a great place to be. Have fun in Bristol. You might as well go to Atlantic City. Until next time, peace.